Díomh agus fáilte ag clár Community Focus. Hello and welcome to the Community Focus programme on CavanTV.com. This programme is sponsored by Easons of Main Street Cavan and Pearse Street Mullingar. This programme is live on the internet every Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you would like to comment on the show or have your community initiative or issue featured, please email drumlinmedia@gmail.com or contact us via our Facebook or Twitter pages. Now, joining me in studio today, we have Peter Moroney, and Peter is from the organisation So Sad, which is all about suicide prevention. Peter, can you tell us a little bit about So Sad and your reasons for getting involved? You set up the organisation, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah. Unfortunately, I lost my son to suicide, Simon, when he was 16 years of age.
Okay.
Before that, we knew he was depressed.
Right.
But we couldn't get him the help he needed.
Did you try and get him the help?
We tried through the doctor, we tried at a hospital. He was in the psychiatric hospital 5 weeks before he died, and they sent him home and said there was nothing psychologically wrong with him. So he never recovered from that blow because he wanted to know what was wrong with him.
And he knew himself, and he knew.
He knew. We knew. He knew. But we just couldn't get him any help. And unfortunately then, he took his own life in May 2003. And then after that, with the shock and then more off after that, I really needed to get professional help for his younger brother Lee. There was only a year between them, and his mother.
Yeah.
And to this day, I couldn't get it.
Was there no help then for?
There was no help.
For families?
No.
Really?
The GP was brilliant. He put us on emergency lists. He got in touch with everybody, but never got it. So after a while, I suppose, to be honest with you, I thought a lot of it was my fault. I thought I let Simon down. After Simon died, I thought I was letting his brother and his mother down. And I decided to look into it. Why? How was I so stupid?
So you're feeling a lot of guilt and a lot of blame and
everything like that, which I know now is normal.
It's part of the stages, yeah.
But I started to work at it, and it done me some good. I mean, I suppose the most important thing I found out was I wasn't such a bad dad after all. There was countless, thousands of people in Ireland who had been through something very similar, the same as what I had been through.
Yeah. And
then we decided, and with the work we done, the research we done, we decided to put it on a website. And that was it. We were going to put a website, and the website was a signpost or a guide for people, anybody affected by suicide or depression, to show them how and where to get help.
So this was largely your own research that had you carried it out?
Myself and my sons, we worked on it for 3 years.
And had you looked up the internet? Were you looking at research documents? And
every research document, interviewed people around the world through email,
right,
or through Skype.
So people who had families who had experienced suicide, and
everywhere, and we found it was a problem all over. The first one was it was a huge problem in Ireland. Secondly, though, Ireland wasn't unique. It was a huge problem all over the world.
Across the world, yeah.
So the website, and we thought, naively, we said, that's a website, this is signpost, this will guide people in the right direction. And that was it. We were going to leave it at that. But people kept ringing us and calling us and emailing us and everything. So it got so busy that we decided then what we're going to do with it. And people were desperate for help. They've been let down by the HSE. They've been let down everywhere they turn. There's no real body dedicated to suicide or depression alone, who concentrate and focus on that, with experienced professionals looking after them. So we started off and we opened up in Drogheda.
Drogheda was your first stop. What year was that?
That was in 2008.
Very good, yeah.
And almost immediately we were busy. And almost immediately then people kept coming from other places looking for us to help. So the geographical area we were covering was too big.
To cope. And where did you get the funding to set up? And the office, the staff?
It's all done through fundraising and donations. I find the people of Ireland to be very, very, very generous. I find them to be, they support what we do, and they support So Sad 100%. And that's how we get away with it. That's how we survive. The HSE should be funding us, but in the letter from them last year, they declined to help us again last year because we're not nationally relevant. We don't matter.
Right, so you're not a national
You're not nationally.
organisation.
You know,
Right.
we are probably the biggest suicide charity in the country by the amount of volunteers we have. 450 volunteers.
Really?
We have nearly 320 people using our service every week.
I mean, it shows, and that's, where are your offices now, Peter?
At Drogheda, Navan, Cavan, Dundalk and Kingscourt.
Okay.
So we do a lot of work.
It's a
But
lot
we're
of
not
volunteers.
according to the HSE, we're not nationally relevant. Although the doctors now and the hospitals are sending their patients to us.
Well, I mean, 320 a week is...
Yeah. And this is the quiet time of the year. It'll get busier in the next few months. Wouldn't surprise me by next April now if we are up to 500 people a week.
So, people usually, would families make referrals and GPs and...
Families, GPs, other services like charities, like for example Homeless Aid, like Vincent de Paul, you know, like Drug and Alcohol Forum, like the hospitals. Anybody refer to us.
And do these people, okay, of a family, what are the signs?
Well, the signs of suicide, I mean, there's warning signs of suicide. You know,
What should people be looking out for?
looking at for people who are not the same as they were.
Okay, so
You
change
know,
in somebody's
change in
mood.
change in mood, feeling depressed, isolating themselves, no interest in what they're doing, problems with sleep, problems with eating, problems with motivation. If they're in school, concentration problems. You know, lack of interest. I'm not going to this anymore. I'm not going to that anymore. And isolating themselves. If you see 2 or 3 of them together, you should be asking a question.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't want to ask the question or can't ask the question, just ring one of the social branches for advice, and we go through it step by step with you.
Even for somebody to talk to
Yeah,
as well and
someone
talk
to
over
talk
your
to.
problems with.
Sometimes it's not an issue at all. It's just part of growing up, part
Yeah.
of teenage development. But that's fine. But isn't it better to get it checked out first?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, you're available 24/7, are you? On
Yeah,
phone?
our offices are all open 24/7. The
And
cabin
it's all
is
done with
available now.
volunteers.
All of we train volunteers now. We train volunteers on tonight, every night of the week. And their job and their one and only task is to help people as much as they can. But their priority is to keep people safe from suicide. Not for the long term, just for the short term. The next stage in, as soon as we possibly can, which would be in the morning if the person's available, we'd get them in for a full psychological assessment.
Right, so after they make the call to you,
Yeah.
the next stage is
Yeah.
that you'd organise a psychological assessment.
Yeah.
And is that done again through volunteers
Suicide volunteers, these are all psychologists and counsellors
who are giving up their
who
time?
are trained in our assessments, who give up a few hours a day. You know, some of them I could have mentioned, Drogheda, like Sheila and Valerie and them and Aoife, they're not actually in the office, but when they're needed they come in for the hour to do the assessment and go off and carry on with their life.
Right.
But they go in for the hour to do the assessments.
Yeah.
But they're great. That's an opportunity again for us to work again and reduce the suicide risk, and then to find out what are the issues that has a person actually contemplating suicide or thinking that my life is so bad that suicide is actually a real option for me.
And what generally are factors in people's life? Would you find like with the recession now?
Recession is huge, right? But it's not a quick jump from recession to suicide.
Right.
Recession brings problems with it.
So there's probably an underlying problem there, and then the
Yeah.
recession triggers
Yeah,
it off.
triggers it off. For example, with recession, we always say, and I don't want to discount the people who have lost income or lost money but still have their jobs, but we just take, for example, those that lose their jobs. They didn't only lose money, they lost the biggest part of the social week.
Yeah,
They lost their purpose.
identity, yeah.
They lost their purpose. It was their purpose to get out every day, you know, to go and do this work.
Yeah.
They lost their whole structure, you know, daily structure. Everybody has to have a routine,
Yeah.
and that's gone, you know. And then they're faced with other problems, like monetary problems and other problems that come from that.
Yeah.
And then when all that's taken away, it seems that depression and suicidal thoughts come in to replace the negative thoughts, come in to replace the positive thoughts and positive things that were there every week.
So then they start to
They
think
start the
negatively.
more negative
and
thoughts. Depression
they'll
gets
see
in,
positives
negative
in
gets
that.
in. Oh yeah, it turns around to be, it's my fault I lost a job. It's not the bank's fault, it's not the economy's fault, it's not the government's fault. It turns out to be my fault, and I'm a failure, and I'm letting everybody down,
So
and I'm a burden to everybody, and everybody will be better. When that starts to change to everybody will be better off without me, that's when suicide becomes an option.
So feeling really no purpose in
No
life.
purpose,
And
no life, no worth, no hope for the future, absolute hopelessness. And it's replaced by this negative, depressed feelings of it's my fault, I'm worthless, I caused it, everybody will be better off without me. And that's when suicide really starts to take over.
And like we're talking about it, and if you recommend counselling, I suppose from the assessment, would counselling be recommended as a
the first one would
stage
be,
for that?
Yeah, the first one would be assessment, and the second, and follow that up with the counselling.
Okay.
You'd be surprised now. I think the SOSAD, what we have at the moment is over the 4,500 clients we've seen since we opened, we've lost one to suicide, only one.
Okay.
And 50 to 60% of them had a suicide risk when they started with us in the first place.
Right.
So we only lost one. Now one is too much for us as far as we're concerned, but we only lost one. But I only use that to prove that when people have somewhere safe and comfortable to come with a professional counsellor and talk through and work out their problems, we provide different options to suicide.
But I mean, 4,500 people to be, dealing with, and you've really helped 4,500 people come through a difficult time in their life.
The wonderful volunteers we have,
the organisation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. It's
a huge,
massive credit to you.
It's a huge thing, I mean, it makes me very proud. I'm very proud of all the volunteers who give up so much of the time to help others. But I just use that stat to show that, talking works.
Absolutely.
The whole stigma thing stops people getting help, stops people sharing how they feel, stops people talking about what they plan to do.
And would men be less, do you find women might come forward to talk more than men?
Traditionally it was always women that came forward more.
Right.
Traditionally it always was, but it's changing.
Yeah, men are more
Too
at risk
slowly.
for suicide.
Men are far more at risk.
Yeah.
Men complete suicides 4 times more than women do. Women attempt suicide more than men do. But men go and they're more serious about it, and they make a stronger effort when there's no chance of a return. Or no chance of me saying. That's why there's more men complete suicides. But recently now, the work, one of our main tasks in SOSAD, and the media's coming on board with this a lot. You can see more and more reports on suicide than there ever was before. But that's breaking the stigma. And the message is to try and tell people, listen, it's okay to go and talk to somebody. It's a better option. It's a better. I mean,
absolutely.
I remember that there's a saying, life is better than the alternative, no matter how difficult it is. And that's the kind of thing we work on. We work with people, and once we get people in and get them engaged with us and work with them, no quick fix. But we start giving them, replacing the suicidal thoughts and depression with hope.
And start to show them the positives in their lives.
Yeah, and we can walk through it. And I think that's where the stat comes from, 1 out of 4,500.
That's
unfortunate, so it is,
Yeah, it's unfortunate that a life was lost, but I mean, you are obviously doing great work. The organisation is doing great work.
Thank you.
I know that the suicide rate is dramatically on the increase in Ireland.
Yes.
400 was the kind of given rate years ago, a couple of years ago, and now they're saying that just an article in the Irish Independent there in February was saying that 3 people now die from suicide every day.
That's probably close to the truth. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Staggering. So it's, as we were just discussing it a little bit earlier on, more people than are killed on the roads.
Well, if you go 3 a day, you're talking about 900 people, not plus, that died of suicide this year. If the rate, they're doing great work in the Road Safety Authority, right? So they're looking, and their target is less than last year's, and last year was 185 road deaths. So you have 185 road deaths in one hand, and they're talking about, we'll say, 800 or 900 suicides this year. There's nearly 4 times as many. If my maths is right, it's 4 or 5 times as many, and so suicide is Suicide is the tragedy of our age. Suicide is the one that's pushed under the carpet. Suicide is the one thing we won't talk about. Suicide is the one that the government buries their head in it. You know, if you go to any politician and talk to him on a one-to-one basis, he'll say, yes, suicide is a problem and we must do this and we must do that. And when they all go up to Dublin and get together and somebody mentions it, they ignore it completely.
It's obviously a huge problem.
It's a massive
Huge.
problem. I mean, it's the leading cause of death of our under 24 years of age group, to 15, 24 years of age group. Suicide is the leading cause of death in Ireland in that age group.
If that was a disease,
If that was
all
anything.
the research that would be put into trying to find out.
Working on it, researching
working on
it,
yeah.
money spent on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm a bit sick at the moment because you're probably seeing this big, huge advertising campaign going on to keep going off the streets. Do you see all the posts? They spent more than that and they're doing suicide prevention. But nobody cares. And it'll go on and it'll go on and it'll be worse and worse and worse.
Peter, I know we're just running out of time
Right,
here at the
thank
moment,
you.
but I wanted to talk about it. First of all, how can people, have ongoing activities, I suppose, for raising funds, and your website, first of all, I suppose, if you give us the website address that people can log on for more information.
Yeah, the website now is www.sosadireland.ie.
You're updating it, aren't you?
Yeah, you can have a look at it now, grand, but please, if you can, wait till Monday, after Monday. We're relaunching and we have a brand new website. I'm very, very happy with it. It looks very good and it's full of useful information and help, and all the branch contact details are there and everything. Get in touch that way.
And on Monday you're having a remembrance ceremony, candlelit
lovely
at the Old Abbey. So just tell us that quickly about
in the Old
that,
Abbey. Monday actually is World Suicide Prevention Day, and they have these candlelit ceremonies all over the world to remember all those victims of suicide. So we're doing it around the town, but in Cavan here we're doing it in the Old Abbey at 8 p.m. We're going to have a lovely little service, not special, little service, a few words, everybody gets a candle to light a candle to their loved ones. We have a special song, Jerry Simpson song called Today a Little Candle, that'll be played, and we read that piece, everybody gets a chance to read that piece, Remember Me, you know, and it's just a nice, simple, but it's a beautiful way to remember all those lost to suicide.
Absolutely, so it's really for all our families.
Anybody can go to it, anybody.
So it's 8 p.m. on Monday.
8 p.m.
at the Old Abbey.
Yeah, I think the stats are right now. Nearly everybody in the country knows somebody who died by suicide.
I'd say, yeah.
So if you want to come along and remember those that lost and anybody you lost in a special way, just come along before 8 o'clock, get a candle and join in.
Do people bring their own candles?
No, we have the candles, and we have, even for safety, we have the little holders so the wax won't drip on their hands.
You're thinking of everything.
We try to think of everything.
Listen, Peter, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
in this
very
evening.
much,
and the continued success. You're doing a great job there. You really are.
The volunteers are doing a wonderful job.
Right, yeah.
Listen, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
We'll just go to a quick ad break now. Thank you.
Pat Short here. You're watching Cavan TV.
Welcome back. I'm now joined in studio by Gearóid McGowan. Gearóid, you wrote a book, a biography on your dad. Yeah?
That's correct.
Jimmy Smith, wasn't it?
That's right, yes.
So, well-known footballer in Cavan.
He was.
Bit of a legend, was he?
He was known over the 20-year period.
20 years he played.
Training, yeah, for Cavan.
Oh.
And he was well known through Ireland at the time. he was one of the leading athletes really. He excelled at football, hurling, handball, athletics when he was in UCD. So when he died, after he died, I obtained his cuttings, his papers.
So he kept all cuttings from
He
previous,
kept, there's some from America, where the Cavan teams travelled there on 3 occasions. Football, cuttings, photographs, newspapers. And I didn't like to throw them out, obviously.
Of course not.
Them.
Yeah,
And
they're lovely to have.
then in discussing and visiting uncles and aunts in Killincare after we transferred to Dublin, the chat always came round to things that happened when they were together in America, and they kept notes of what comments were made, and without any purpose really at the time.
Yeah.
And the bundle started to grow.
So you never envisaged that you'd write a book from it, did you?
No, not really. I'll tell you, not really, but I still didn't want to discard, and I felt they should be retained.
Yeah.
Because at the time he most certainly was well known.
Mm.
And his life, particularly his athletic life and other aspects of it, were a bit above the ordinary.
Mm.
So it grew really rather than me taking a decision I will do, and it kind of gradually, and then I said, right, I better get this in some kind of order, and from there on then it became a more formal exercise.
Fantastic.
So that's the background.
So when did you start putting the book together?
Well,
I know you were collecting bits throughout the years,
throughout
but
the year.
when did you actually make the decision, okay, I have enough here to write a
5-6
book?
years ago.
And you've been working on it, have you, at that amount of time?
Yeah, you see, 5 or 6 years ago, in the context of somebody who was in the forefront of athletics, 1920s to the late 30s, that meant that people who knew him, who could give first-hand comment about him, gone, dead. The old story, we regret not having asked questions until the well is dry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the alternative then, you see, to first-class one-to-one discussion with people, the alternative was written word, and that meant repeated visits to libraries, National Library, Cavan, Kerry, Galway, Armagh, Wexford. So that
you put a lot of time and research into this. And what were you looking for in the libraries? Was it information on GAA or local history?
See, he was a guard, sergeant of the guard, so that just
like my own dad.
Well, that's no harm. But that aspect of his life, you see, came through not too often, particularly for the time he served in Dublin. He served in Monaghan and Wexford. So the guard, the sergeant would be mentioned from time to time with the odd case of, well, let's not mention what the cases may have been. But it concentrated on the sporting aspect.
So would he have played athletics as well in the Guards? They would have had their own clubs for
yeah,
that,
the Guard, in fact he made his name with the Guards. He joined in 1924, and during the 1920s and 1930s the Guard football and hurling teams were probably the best clubs in the country. And he, coming from a football county, Cavan, he was an automatic on the football teams and on the hurling teams. In fact, he was the only player on the hurling teams from a non-hurling county. And
where did he learn the hurling? Because
he was a natural.
All right.
Well, he
It's
learned,
just
I
good.
suppose, it started in Killincare with his own father when he was a youngster.
Was there many hurling clubs around Cavan then? or
Very
any?
few then, very few. But he then continued it in St Patrick's College during the time of Canon Rudden, and he was president. He was an exceptional president because he believed that the students should be exposed to sport as much as possible. That sport complements study. Together they cause no problem. It's only when one goes to extremes that there can be a problem. But he was exceptional for her, and it took a lot of time.
With the book, then I just very quick glance through it that I got just before this, but you have information even on statistics on people, the surnames within a particular region and area. So you've gone to that level of research, local townland history as well.
One is to understand a person, one must understand and have some knowledge of where he came from.
We can just show up the book there as you're talking, actually. Just hold it up a little bit higher there. Yeah.
Right.
So that's your dad there on the front cover.
Yeah, that is the parade before the All-Ireland final, 1933. He was the captain of the team then, so hence his...
All-Ireland hurling final?
No,
football, yeah.
Football,
yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic. Sorry, you
Where
were saying
were we?
before, yeah. So you were talking about the local history as well.
Well, it's
involved in the
part
book.
of where we're all influenced by where we come from and the social
Social, economic background of the area.
The type of life, the beliefs, the disbeliefs, all of these things form, or did form long ago. Television now, I think, unfortunately, form far too many opinions. But then, 50 years ago, society almost determined what the character of many individuals were.
Mm-hmm.
So in that context, the social. Again, too,
so
you see,
important,
in the 20s, the teens, one had the political problems,
yes.
we had the military problems, all of which impinged on the GAA, which at that time was growing, was fighting to survive. We had friendly neighbours who didn't want it to develop because it was nationalistic in outlook. So the different aspects of life, they all overlap each other and one will affect the other. And the 20s and 1918 particularly up into the 30s, politics exerted a great influence on, on the development.
So you've kind of touched on that in the book. I know you're launching the book tomorrow night, isn't it?
Oh, tomorrow, please God, in the Killincare.
So it's in Killincare. Where in Killincare?
The clubhouse of the Killincare Football Club. Yeah.
And can anyone go along to it?
Open house, I believe.
Open house, grand. What time?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. That's great, because there is an awful lot of research gone into that book, and very interesting for people who have an interest in GAA and anyone with an interest in Cavan and local history. Where will is there anyone special launching the book?
Yeah, Michal Hertlick, Kerry, on
very good.
radio and television commentator. He's
Launch the book.
attempting to raise the sale and push the book out.
Very good. Where will the book be on sale and when? Will it be on sale locally?
It will be on sale in Virginia and in Cavan Town here as well. And the limited supply will be available from the end of this week, and after that they will be distributed.
So probably be in the bookshops in Cavan, like Easton's and that as well. Perfect. So unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, but people can buy the book so from next week really onwards.
Please God.
Perfect. Best of luck with the launch. Thank you so
you.
much for coming in this evening. Appreciate it. Okay, that's all for this week. Join us again next Wednesday evening at the same time. Until then, slán.
So.
Pat Short here. You're watching Cavan TV.
I'm Gavin Duffy, and I'm saying watch cavantv.com. It's a great opportunity to see some great programs, and you can watch it all around the globe via the internet and on many platforms. I watch it myself. Great stuff.